Hey guys, it's Chris from Smithy Finance, and this is your midday market report for May 12th. It's about 2 p.m., and we are having a rip-roaring day, all sorts of action out there. We got the DAL up almost 1,100 points, NASDAQ up 744 points, that's 4.1%. On the other side of it, we've got gold down 115, silver's down 30 cents, copper's down a nickel. We've got a very strong US dollar today versus some weakness we've had since this tariff problem happened. But holy cow, here we go. And you know what? I'm going to take 1 minute for a victory lap. So just stay with me. What have I been saying since this has all been going on? I've said a few things. One thing I've said, and I've been quite clear about it, is that my job, your job as a trader, is to buy the damn crash. And it's uncomfortable, and I said it repeatedly, not with full confidence, because when you're getting crushed, it ain't easy, but it is our job to buy the crash. So that's one thing I said. Another thing I said, when things were really bad, I said, sure as shit, there will be good days again. And sure as shit, there will be bad days again. And that second part is relevant to what we're seeing today. We are going to have some bad days again in the future. The third thing I said might be a little, or was probably a little controversial. It seems like the world hates Trump. Obviously, that's not true. There's a bunch of us that like the guy. And I was not crazy about the tariffs, but I said repeatedly, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he's crazy. I don't think he's a psychopath. I don't think he's trying to crash the market. I think he is a negotiator, and he was sticking to his guns. And look, man, here we are. So there was great opportunity with the people that hate Trump so much they were convinced that he was just an idiot and was senile and was just out to cause pain. And here we have news this morning that China and the U.S. Have agreed to lessen the tariffs and to negotiate in good faith over the next while. And I'm quite sure we're going to get a deal. Things are looking good. So, cheers. It's dangerous in my neighborhood having a mug like this. I don't show it off because there's lefties all around me. But we're seeing some pretty interesting action here right now. So that's my victory lap. I hope you didn't sell when things were looking so ugly, and B, that you did some buying, because we've got some good stuff that's been happening. And I've been selling. I've sold a little bit today. I had bought when things were crashing. I bought some STRL, Sterling. I actually sold that a while ago, again, piecing it out as it goes higher. I sold my last stock, I sold at 151. I think it hit 180 today. I sold the balance of my Delta Airlines this morning on the open, because the open will often give you the best price. We've talked about that before. When you have an up market, especially on a Monday when there's pent-up excitement, and when there's a down market, that is the time to do the buying, is the first thing in the morning. Often. I mean, nothing is for sure, right? Nothing is always, but often. The Ivanhoe IVN, which is a huge copper producer out of the Congo, I've talked about that probably 10 times. It's my second biggest position. Here it is today, I don't know, 14.35 right now. It traded below 10 at the worst of it. I still own lots, but I sell a little bit as we go higher. I sold a tiny bit this morning, less than 1% of my holdings, but I keep selling some, and then we see these retracements from here and there from time to time, and I'm buying some of it back. So that's been really good. Aya Silver and Gold, or Gold and Silver, I guess is their name, but they're primarily a silver producer with a massive resource in Morocco. Since we last talked, that stock really got hit, and I went in very, very heavy. When a favorite stock of yours gets hit, you don't just go in and buy heavy. You go and do your homework. You go and double check. You might have to phone the company. You might have to reread their last press releases. And then there's a little bit of a bit of faith that there isn't something bad that is going to be announced tomorrow. And that's always a possibility, and that is a risk. But I felt the stock at $9 or $8.90, down from, I think it hit 20 in the summer or close to it, was already discounting terrible things. So when it's already discounting terrible things and those terrible things don't appear, it's just a matter of time before you get the lift. That stock is still cheap. That stock, I have sold a tiny bit because I bought so much over 2 days when it was down. I doubled my position, which was already sizable. So that Saturn Oil and Gas, I talked about that, I think, pretty clearly in the last one, saying that the oils, which have been so beaten and so hated, that it was still a good time to buy them. This morning we hit 180. It was 125, 128. I think last time we spoke it was 140, 142. Now, granted, I had talked about it when it was $2. Okay, so, but you've got to average down on these good names, on these companies that have solid fundamentals that are just being whacked by bad sentiment. So that's our friend. You've got, if you want to make money in the market, you got to buy low, sell high, right? I mean, it's so simple. But when it's low, especially when it's really low, it's tough to do because you've been watching it do this every single day. But I still think the stock's got way more to go. Oil was up today. I forgot to mention that. It was up, I think it was up $2 on the open. It's only up $1.25 now. It's still really low. I mean, it's at 62 or 62 and a half or something like that. Really low. Everybody hates it. We're oversupplied in oil. OPEC's falling apart. The shale projects in the US are still pumping out, even though people think it's about to roll over, that the production is going to come down. The easy production's been done. Somehow they just keep pumping it. But here we are at $62. These stocks have been hammered, and the next surprise on oil is to the upside. Something's going to happen. The world is not going into recession. Oil demand will continue to grow, and we are going to see, who knows, we'll see 80, 90, maybe we'll see $100 again in the next 2 years. And these stocks are all multiples of where they are now. So Saturn, now I mentioned as well that I really hate those guys. They did all those financings 2 or 3 years ago. They were buying when everybody else was divesting, and they really kind of screwed us. But emotion does not belong in this game. If you are going to be a good trader, you have to put emotion out of it. And just look at the facts. It's like with Trump, okay, the guy's an asshole sometimes. He's verbose, he changes his mind. But you've got to look at the facts. Did he really want to crash the economy? Does he really want to be the guy that brings down the US and the US dollar? I don't think so. So, take away your biases or your liberal beliefs and just look at the facts of it. And we can't be I'm not overconfident in the guy either, but nobody wants to crash the economy, especially when he's got Lutnick and those other guys who are free, the capitalists. They've made their money through the capitalist system. They all believe in it. It is the best system. And anyway, story is that you've got to keep your emotion out of it. What hasn't worked so far is lithium. I had talked about lithium banks, so I've got to take the L on that right now, but I don't think that's over. They did a financing at 29 cents or 28 cents with a warrant. It took the steam out of the damn thing, and it's just wallowing at 24, 25 cents. But I haven't sold any. I haven't added because there's lots of other action out there, but it's on my watch list, and I probably will add. But I own a fair bit of it. We'll see. It is speculative. They are going to have to do another raise of money in 8 months or a year or whatever. These raises on the resource companies can be somewhat painful. Let's talk about presentations. There's all sorts of information out there. YouTube is a fantastic source, but in the last week or so since I've spoken to you, there was a 25-minute, 30-minute presentation on Aya that came out just when the stock was being killed. It came out that Sunday after Friday the stock had hit 880, and it was really timely. I watched it, and on the Monday the stock was down again. It went to 858 or 850 or something, and again I'm loaded, so I start to sweat too. But there was I had a little extra confidence from seeing that release. I added a little more, and here we are at 1010 or wherever it is. I think it's still got way more room. MicroStrategy. Okay, I'm wearing the shirt. They're now known as Strategy, the Bitcoin company. They had their annual report, or sorry, their quarterly came out. It was a 2-hour long conference call, of which 90 minutes was the CEO talking about their strategy. It was very intense, and I got to tell you, it wasn't a lot of fun to listen to because it was just chart after chart of numbers, like, I don't know, 40 numbers on a page. If this happens, if this happens, if this happens. And in any event, it was pretty heavy duty, and it was all that I had to stay on it and stay focused. But it does give an extra level of confidence. Turns out that the crypto is down today. As a matter of fact, I mean, Bitcoin's done great, right? It hit 77. Now it's at 102, but it did hit 105 last night. It's at 101,835. So we've got IBIT down. We've got MicroStrategy down, or strategy down today. But I still very much like that space. One of the conferences I watched was on a company called Hive, Hive. They are a Bitcoin miner, but they're also involved in AI because of their supercomputers. The stock's only $1.70, $1.84 US, 250 or 260 Canadian. I've been buying that. I think that is a buy here, although maybe it comes back a little bit. So you could buy a little now and buy a little later. Listen, making money in the market is not free, man. You've got to put some effort into it. You need to do your work. You need to look at their website. You need to listen to the conference calls. You need to be willing to be uncomfortable. Like I said, buying the crash is not a comfortable, it's not a happy feeling, okay? But that is where the money is. And if you just ignore it, don't sell. But if you didn't take advantage of this latest crash, and we may not have another crash for 5 or 6 years, right? That's kind of how it goes. It seems to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, we get another one. And there may be one sooner. The U.S. has got so much debt. There are problems out there, and I fully acknowledge that. And yet there are opportunities, and they just always seem to be able to delay this reckoning of their debt and horrible balance sheet year after year, decade after decade, and who knows how long this can go on. And it's just not, in my view, it's not worth betting against, at least not yet. In a way, I am betting against it through MicroStrategy, through Bitcoin, through gold and silver, because they will all benefit. But you notice they're all down today as the US dollar is higher and the confidence has returned to the market. Okay, it's kind of a long video today, but it's been a while since I've seen you. Look, if you like this, hit that like button. Please comment, maybe share it. Channel's very small. There's no incentive for me on this except to know that I'm helping some people, and it'd be nice to know if I've helped or if you find this useful. Anyway, if you're still here, this is a long video, right? Who's got 14 minutes? Almost nobody to listen to a video on YouTube. But if you're still here, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.